belongs. The leather jacket feels heavy on Marcus's shoulders as he walks through the hallways of Westfield High. 6 weeks have passed since he took a bullet meant for Ryder. 6 weeks since 526 bikers lined the streets outside school to make him family. His fingers trace the words, "Honorary Brother," on the back. The jacket still smells new, like leather and promise. When he moves too quickly, his shoulder aches where the bullet went through. The doctor said it would hurt for months, maybe forever when rain comes. The whispers follow him still, but they've changed. "That's the kid the Steel Wheels adopted," they say now. "Don't mess with him." Some kids who never spoke to him before smile and nod. Others step back when he passes, eyes wide with a mix of fear and respect. Marcus isn't sure which feels stranger. At lunch, he sits with Ryder instead of hiding in the art room. "Dad's coming by after school," Ryder says, pushing his fries across the table to share. "He wants to show us something cool at the garage." Marcus nods, a warm feeling spreading in his chest. Weekends and afternoons at Jack's house have become the best parts of his week. The house always smells like good food and motor oil. Jack teaches them about engines while rock music plays. For hours, Marcus forgets he's an orphan, but every night, he still returns to Pinewood Children's Home. His bunk remains the same: thin mattress, metal frame, the smell of cheap soap, and too many kids in one place. His sketch pad and pencils stay hidden under the mattress so Tommy can't find them. Tommy, who once stole his breakfast and pushed him downstairs, now gives him plenty of room. The other kids watch with big eyes when Jack's motorcycle rumbles up the driveway to take Marcus away for a few hours. They press their noses to the windows, wondering what it's like to be chosen. Mrs. Winters, who runs the home, purses her lips when Marcus returns, smelling like garage oil and barbecue smoke. "That motorcycle club is no place for a boy your age," she tells him, but she can't stop him from going. Not since Jack spoke with her, his voice quiet but firm. Not since the social worker said it was good for Marcus to have community connections. In art class, Mrs. Peterson smiles as she walks past his desk. "Your work has changed," she says, looking at his drawing. Before, Marcus drew make-believe families eating dinner at tables that didn't exist. Now his pages fill with real faces: Jack's kind eyes beneath his bushy beard, Ryder's crooked smile, the clubhouse with motorcycles lined up outside like sleeping dragons. "You're using more colors," Ms. Peterson adds. After school, Marcus finds Jack waiting instead of Ryder. The big man leans against his motorcycle, arms crossed over his steel wheels vest. Something about his face makes Marcus's stomach tight. "Where's Ryder?" Marcus asks, looking around. "Doctor appointment. Just you and me today, kid." Jack hands him a helmet. "We need to talk." They ride through town, Jack's motorcycle rumbling beneath them like a heartbeat. Marcus holds tight to Jack's jacket, the wind rushing past. This feeling, the speed, the closeness, the trust, still seems like a dream he might wake up from. They stop at a diner on the edge of town, the kind with red booths and waitresses who call everyone honey. The smell of French fries and coffee fills the air. They slide into a booth by the window. Jack orders them chocolate milkshakes and 2 baskets of fries. His hands, big, with scars across the knuckles, tap nervously on the table. "What's wrong?" Marcus asks. His good feelings start to fade. Maybe Jack is tired of him. Maybe the steel wheels have decided he's not worth the trouble. Jack reaches inside his vest and pulls out a folder. He slides it across the table between the ketchup and salt shakers. "I've been thinking," Jack says. His voice sounds different, nervous, like a kid giving a speech in class. You saved my boy's life. You're already family to us. But, he taps the folder, I want to make it real. Marcus opens the folder with shaking fingers. Inside are papers with lots of official-looking words. At the top, it says, Application for foster placement. I want you to come live with me and Ryder, Jack says. For real? Not just visits. I want to be your foster dad. Marcus stares at the papers, his chocolate milkshake forgotten. In his head, he sees his sketchbook drawings from years ago. A made-up dad with kind eyes, a home with his own bed, a place where he belongs. He never thought those drawings could become real. You want me? Marcus whispers, his voice small in the noisy diner. For keeps? Jack reaches across the table, his hand warm and rough on Marcus's wrist. For keeps, he says. The words hang in the diner air between them, mixing with the smell of fried food and coffee. You're already my kid in here. Jack taps his chest over his heart. This just makes it official. Marcus tries to speak, but his throat feels tight, like something big is stuck there. Hope is a scary feeling when you've been let down so many times. He's been in 6 foster homes before. None wanted to keep him longer than a few months. What about Ryder? Marcus asks finally. Does he know? Jack nods, a smile breaking through his serious face. It was his idea. He's already planning to clear half his video games off the shelves in your room. Jack takes a long drink of his milkshake. You'd have your own bed, your own space for your art stuff. No more Pinewood. Marcus looks out the diner window. A group of Steel Wheels members ride past on their motorcycles, chrome flashing in the afternoon sun. Being part of their world still feels like walking in a dream. What about the road demons? Marcus asks, his voice going quiet. The men who shot him are still out there. The police never caught them. His fingers touch his shoulder where the bullet went through. Sometimes he still wakes up hearing that loud crack, feeling the hot pain tear through him. Jack's face changes, going hard like stone. We're handling that. How? Marcus asks. Don't you worry about it. Jack's fingers drum on the table. Steel Wheels business. Marcus shakes his head. But I'm why they shot at Ryder. If I come live with you, won't that make things worse? His stomach feels cold and tight despite the warm food. I don't want anyone else getting hurt because of me. Jack leans forward, his eyes serious beneath his bushy eyebrows. Listen to me, Marcus. What happened wasn't your fault. Those road demons were after me and the club, not you boys. He takes a deep breath. And family protects family. That's how it works. You took a bullet for my son. You think I wouldn't do the same for you? On the ride back to Pinewood, Marcus holds tight to Jack, the wind rushing past them. He thinks about having a real home, a real dad. But dark thoughts keep spinning in his head like storm clouds. What if Jack gets tired of him? What if the road demons come after them again? What if it's all too good to be true? At Pinewood, Jack hands him a copy of the foster application. Think about it, he says. Talk to Ryder tomorrow at school. This is your choice, kid. That night, Marcus can't sleep. The other boys snore in their bunks around him. The night guard's flashlight sweeps past the doorway every hour. He pulls out his sketchbook and draws Jack's face, trying to catch the kindness in his eyes. Could this really happen? Could he really have a family? When morning comes, Marcus feels like he hasn't slept at all. At breakfast, Tommy walks past and knocks Marcus's tray to the floor, spilling milk and cereal everywhere. Your biker friends aren't here now, Tommy whispers, leaning close. You're still nothing. Marcus cleans up the mess, his hands shaking. Tommy's words echo in his head as he walks to school. Maybe Tommy is right. Maybe he doesn't deserve a family. At lunch, he finds Ryder waiting at their usual table, grinning like he has a big secret. "Dad told you, right?" he asks. "About the foster thing?" Marcus nods, picking at his food. "You don't look happy," Ryder says, his smile fading. "Don't you want to come live with us?" "It's not that," Marcus says. He pushes his tray away. "What about the road demons? What if they come after you or your dad because of me?" Ryder shrugs. "Dad can handle them. The whole club can." He leans forward, voice dropping. "Plus, it's not like you'll be alone anymore. You'll have all of us watching your back." After school, they walk to their lockers together. A piece of paper falls out when Marcus opens his. His blood goes cold when he sees the drawing on it. A bullet with his name. "What's that?" Ryder asks, reaching for the paper. Marcus crumples it in his fist. "Nothing," he says. But his heart pounds hard against his ribs. On his way back to Pinewood, Marcus stops at the park. He sits under a big oak tree and takes out Jack's application. The paper feels heavy in his hands. Having a real dad, a real home, it's everything he's ever wanted. But the crumpled threat sits in his pocket like a stone. If he says yes to Jack, will he be putting the only people who ever cared about him in danger? Is that the price of finally belonging? The next morning, a woman in a gray suit waits in Mrs. Winters' office at Pinewood. Her shoes are shiny black, her hair pulled back so tight it looks painful. She stands when Marcus enters. "I'm Miss Carson from Child Protective Services," she says. Her voice sounds like ice cubes clinking in a glass. "Please sit down." The chair feels hard and small under Marcus. The office smells like old coffee and paper. On the desk sits a thick folder with his name on it. "We've received an unusual application," Ms. Carson says, opening the folder. "Jack Miller wants to be your foster parent." She says Jack's name like it tastes bad in her mouth. Marcus nods, his hands twisting in his lap. "He's Ryder's dad. They want me to live with them." Ms. Carson slides some photos across the desk. Marcus sees himself on the back of Jack's motorcycle. Jack standing outside the Steel Wheels clubhouse. Marcus and Ryder in their matching leather jackets. "The Steel Wheels are not what we consider a suitable environment for a child," she says. "They have criminal records, fights with rival motorcycle clubs." She taps one photo showing Jack arguing with a police officer. "This man was arrested 3 years ago." "For what?" Marcus asks, his voice sounding small in the quiet office. "Fighting. Defending one of his club members," he said. Ms. Carson takes off her glasses. "Marcus, I know you've had a hard time finding a permanent placement, but this is not the answer." That afternoon, Marcus can't focus in class. Ms. Carson's words keep spinning in his head. During art class, Ms. Peterson notices his empty paper. "Everything okay?" she asks. Marcus shakes his head. "Jack wants to be my foster dad," he whispers. "But Ms. Carson from CPS says he's not suitable." Ms. Peterson sits beside him, her voice gentle. "Sometimes adults see what they expect to see, not what's really there." She points to his sketchbook. "Show them what you see." After school, Principal Watson calls Marcus to his office. Jack is already there, his big frame making the school chair look tiny. His face is serious under his beard. Principal Watson doesn't look at either of them, just shuffles papers on his desk. "The school board has concerns," he says finally, "about gang influences in our school." Jack's hands grip the chair arms, his knuckles going white. "We're not a gang," he says quietly. "We're a family." Nevertheless, Principal Watson continues, having a student affiliated with a motorcycle club creates certain issues. Issues? Jack repeats, his voice getting louder. The only issue is people judging without knowing facts. Marcus is a good kid. His grades are up. He's never been in trouble. Outside the window, Marcus spots a black SUV parked across the street. His blood turns to ice water in his veins. It looks just like the one from the day he was shot. He tries to get Jack's attention, but both men are too busy arguing. That night at Pinewood, Marcus can't eat dinner. The threat note from his locker sits heavy in his pocket. Jack's foster application sits under his pillow. Two futures pulling him in different directions. Rain starts to fall, tapping against the windows like impatient fingers. Most of the other kids are in the TV room. Marcus slips away to his bunk to work on his sketchbook. He freezes in the doorway. His small space has been destroyed. Blankets torn off the bed. His few clothes scattered on the floor. And his sketchbooks, his most precious things, ripped to pieces, the pages scattered like fallen leaves. Worst of all, his mattress has been sliced open. A crude drawing of a bullet has been carved into it, the knife still stuck there, handle pointing up like an ugly flag. Marcus can't breathe. His legs feel wobbly beneath him. Then he hears footsteps and turns to see Tommy standing there, face pale with fear. "Men came looking for you," Tommy says, his voice shaking. "They had tattoos on their necks, demons and skulls." He swallows hard. "They said to tell you nobody walks away, that you're marked now." Marcus's hands shake as he pulls out his phone, the one Jack gave him for emergencies. His finger hovers over Jack's number. If he calls, he puts everyone in danger. If he doesn't... The phone feels heavy in his hand, like the weight of a choice that can't be taken back. He presses call. Jack arrives in 20 minutes, the rumble of motorcycles splitting the rainy night. Not just Jack. The Steel Wheels president and 5 other members roar up behind him, their bikes gleaming wet in the porch light. They fill the narrow hallway of Pinewood with the smell of leather and rain and something stronger, anger. Mrs. Winters stands in the doorway, wringing her hands as leather-clad men crowd into the small room, looking at Marcus's destroyed belongings. "This has gone too far," she says, her voice high with fear. "I'm calling CPS to have Marcus relocated immediately. Somewhere safe, away from all this." Marcus feels his world tilting again, the fragile sense of belonging threatening to shatter like glass. That night, rain hammers against the windows of the Steel Wheels clubhouse. The grown-ups talk in low, angry voices while Marcus sits on a worn leather couch, a blanket around his shoulders. Ryder stays beside him, a baseball bat leaning against the wall nearby. "You'll sleep here tonight," Jack says. "Nobody will find you here." Marcus watches the Steel Wheels members take turns standing guard at doors and windows. They look fierce in their leather vests, some with big arms covered in tattoos. But their eyes are kind when they look at him. They bring him hot chocolate and pizza. They tell jokes to make him smile. When everyone thinks he's sleeping, Marcus hears them talking about the road demons, about police, about a judge who will decide if Jack can be his foster dad. The words "criminal record" and "not suitable" float through the air like poison. In the dim light, Marcus pulls out his last sketchbook, the one he always keeps in his backpack. His hands shake as he begins to draw. Not just pictures this time. A plan. 2 days later, Ms. Peterson helps him hang his drawings in the community center. Not just a few. Dozens of them line the walls. Each one shows the Steel Wheels as Marcus sees them. Jack helping Ryder with homework at the kitchen table. Club members fixing a neighbor's roof after a storm. the president reading to his little grandson, the whole club working at a food drive, serving meals to homeless people. Art reveals truth, Ms. Peterson tells the crowd that gathers. Teachers come, social workers. Even Principal Watson stands in a corner, looking surprised at what he sees. In the center of the room hangs Marcus's masterpiece, a large canvas showing 526 bikers standing as guardians around a small figure with a sketchbook. The figure is Marcus, and he's not afraid. He's protected. Judge Martinez from family court walks slowly from picture to picture. She's a small woman with silver hair and sharp eyes that miss nothing. She stops at each drawing, studying the faces Marcus has captured so carefully. "You did all these?" she asks Marcus. He nods. "I wanted people to see what I see." His voice comes out stronger than he expected. Not what they think they know. At the back of the room, a door opens. 3 men walk in, their jackets unzipped to show rival patches. Road demons. The Steel Wheels president moves toward them, but Jack puts a hand on his arm, waiting. The room goes quiet. Marcus's heart pounds in his chest like a drum. He recognizes one man, the driver of the black SUV from the day he was shot. The man steps forward, looking at the drawings. His face is hard to read. "The kid's got talent," he says finally, his voice rough like gravel. "We didn't know he was just a boy when—" He doesn't finish the sentence. "This beef ain't with children." "Never was." He nods to Jack. "We'll talk. Find another way to settle our business." 2 days later, Judge Martinez calls everyone to her courtroom. The room smells like wood polish and old books. Marcus sits between Jack and Ms. Peterson, his hands sweating. "I've reviewed this case carefully," the judge says, including the unusual art exhibit. She almost smiles. "I've also spoken with the Road Demons leader, who has agreed to a truce with the Steel Wheels, at least regarding this boy." She looks at Marcus over her glasses. "Young man, you've shown remarkable courage and talent. And you, Mr. Miller," she turns to Jack, "have shown that family comes in many forms." The judge signs the papers in front of her. "I am approving this foster placement with conditions. Monthly home visits, continued counseling, regular school attendance," she taps the papers with her pen, "and perhaps art lessons." 3 days later, Marcus packs his few belongings from Pinewood. Mrs. Winters stops him at the door, handing him a thick envelope. "College applications," she says, her voice softer than he's ever heard it. "Ms. Peterson said you'll need them in a few years." She hesitates, then adds, "Good luck, Marcus." Jack's truck waits outside, Ryder hanging out the window waving like crazy. Marcus climbs in, his backpack and art supplies between his feet. The foster care papers sit safe in Jack's glove box. That night, in a room of his own, a real room with blue walls and a desk for drawing, Marcus pins up 2 pictures above his bed. The first is an old drawing from his torn sketchbook that Jack carefully taped back together. Rain falling on empty sidewalks, and a boy walking alone. Beside it, he hangs a new drawing, the same scene, but now the boy walks surrounded by leather-clad figures, their faces turned toward him like sunflowers following the sun, the rain no longer touching his shoulders. At the bottom, Marcus has written the words Jack said to him that first day in the hospital. "Family isn't always blood." Marcus steps back, looking at the 2 pictures side by side, the before and after, the lonely boy and the boy who belongs. Outside, he hears the rumble of motorcycles as Steel Wheels members arrive for a cookout to celebrate his first night home. Home. The word feels strange and wonderful in his mind, like a door finally opening. His leather jacket hangs on the bedpost, the words, "Honorary brother," catching the light. But Marcus knows now it's more than honorary. It's real. As real as the family waiting for him downstairs. As real as the rain that once fell on his shoulders but doesn't anymore.